Okay, that should do it.
Mine is showing live.
Oh, there's Stacy. All right.
Stacy,
Well, now that Stacy's here, we can start.
seriously.
All
Okay.
right.
So we'll be admitting people as we move along. Not everyone's going to be exactly punctual like us. So let's get started. Okay, Michelle Hirsch. Whoever doesn't know who this woman is, who this super realtor is, needs to get some Wi-Fi in their cave, because you're awesome. You're a multitasker. You're just crushing it. So big introduction.
And one of my favorite things about Michelle is how much she loves to give back and to jump on a panel when she's asked, and speaking engagements, and I've had the pleasure of being on a few of those with you. So thank you very much for joining us and sharing with us today.
Thank you.
And
I'm so happy to be here with you guys. You guys are both such incredible powerhouses yourself, and you've both done such tremendous things for our real estate community and the LA community at large, that it's just, the reason why I'm excited every time you call me to do something is it's because it's with you guys, and that in and of itself is exciting enough for me.
Well, you are awesome. Thank you for saying that. It means a lot. And and we'll just kind of jump into your story. If you can briefly share with us how you got involved in real estate, and what caused this whole thing to come about.
Yeah. So actually, when I was 18 years old, my father, he was in the construction side of things, where he did all the construction for a large property management company here in LA. And I came back from spending a year in Israel, and I needed a job. And so he told me to get a job with the property management company, and I did. And they were putting me in different apartment buildings and having to show the apartments and rent them out and so on and so forth. And I really enjoyed it. It was fun getting dressed nicely every day and having to show up at an office. And fast forward not so much time, about a year later, I met my husband, and I became more observant, religiously. And I thought the good Jewish girl thing to do was to become a nursery school teacher. So I finished my education in teaching, and I became a nursery school teacher. And then literally, I don't think a day went by that my father did not rip into me of stop changing goddamn babies' diapers and get back into real estate. It was like the craziest thing. It was nonstop. And then after I had two of my own kids, I realized that I didn't have the same energy to come home after being with other people's children for 8 hours a day, and then to come home and have energy for mine. So while I was in my last year of teaching, I went to UCLA and took all the different real estate courses and really took it seriously. I didn't want to do like a overnight boot camp thing or whatever. I went to night school and so on and so forth. And I took the test and got into real estate and never looked back. So that's basically how I got started in it. But I think we all, every time I do these panels or just talk to different realtors, we all have a very common thread through all of us of just, we're entrepreneurs, we are creative individuals, we like to think for ourselves, we like to help people, and we like to be on our own schedule. So there's a very common thread amongst all of us in the industry. And some people know how to just really harness it, and then other people need a little bit more guidance on how to get there.
Right, absolutely. It's always fun to hear that somebody was a completely different career path, and then how it shifts into real estate and they become, extremely successful. So, looking at you now, obviously being a top producer, it's easy to assume that things have always been easy, right? But tell us a little bit about the beginning. Was it easy to get into real estate? Were there any struggles?
So it actually was not. I mean, it was easy in the sense that for me, I've always been the type of person where I create an image in my head, and ever since I was a kid. I mean, for me, it was, I saw somebody who, had awesome hair, for example. And like, I would picture myself having the same thing. And so like, when I was going into real estate or in any part of when I was teaching, I needed to be the best at what I did. So I created a picture in my head when I went into real estate that I was already a top producer. And I look back at it as a little bit in a funny way, and I'm laughing partially because it's a little cringy when I look back at the things that I did. But like, I came out swinging. I came out, with making my own magazine thing and having that mailed out, getting bus benches right away. I didn't have a pot to piss in, like I had $2 to scrape together, but the credit cards just racked up and I came out swinging as if I was some top dog. So, for me, it wasn't easy, and I definitely created debt in trying to, make myself grow. But what I did is I created a persona, and I created an image for myself of I'm a top dog. So even when I
Almost like
wasn't
fake
a
it
top
till you
dog,
make it. Almost like
fake it till you make it.
I
Fake it
remember
till you
seeing
make
your bench ads like all over. It was like an
Yeah.
overnight thing in like
Right.
Valley Village,
Yep.
Sherman Oaks area.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was tough. And, and even to this day, I'll get calls from agents, should I do bus benches? And I took like a hiatus for probably about 6-7 years of bus benches because, the last crash hit and money was definitely tight. And I think my housekeeper was making more money than I was for a time period. And it was not easy. And I did everything I needed to do to stay afloat. I didn't want to leave the business, but I went and I volunteered at the school so I can get tuition assistance. I did whatever I needed to do to stay alive. But at the same time, I never let go of my big dream. And so once I was making money again and things were going well again, thank God, I went right back to the bus benches. And when I get calls from agents like, does it work? I can't tell you that I've necessarily gotten a deal because of a bus bench, but what I do get is when I meet people for the first time, they don't feel like they're meeting a stranger. And it's only because they've seen my face plastered around everywhere they go that psychologically they feel a sense that they already know me and that I'm not some strange person coming into their home.
Yeah, you get that instant street credibility
Right.
that they've seen you. By the way, Lior brought up something in regards to hearing about you being in a completely different place before you went into real estate. And I feel like that's kind of a pattern with the different people that we've brought on here. We brought on, different, I don't know. We had Harma Hartuni on here who was going to be, what was he going to be, like a chiropractor?
A dentist.
Right. He was in
So,
medical
I mean,
school.
you never know.
Right.
You never know.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Michelle,
wanted
do you remember your first deal?
I do remember my first deal.
Tell us.
That first deal actually is what has set the pace for how I behave in my real estate career. 100% straight up. It is literally what has set the pace for me. In my very first deal, it was on Laurel Terrace in Studio City. And I was so excited. And because my dad was the impetus of me getting back into the business, he was my first phone call. And I called him up. I'm like, Daddy, I have my first deal. And I started telling him how much I was going to be making on this deal. Like, this is a man who was like supporting me for so many years. And even when I was married and we were struggling, he would help me. He was, of course, was going to be my first phone call and telling him how much money I was about to make. And he cut me off dead in my tracks, like literally shut me down. And my dad was like good old Russian stock, there was no mincing words. And he cut me off and he said to me, I don't ever want to hear you tell me ever again how much money you're making. And he said, that's not what you're doing this for. He said, the money's going to come. And he was also definitely a big believer in the evil eye. So I'm not going to like say that wasn't part of it. But, he was like, just don't count the money, do the job, work hard, and that money will come. And since then, literally, I if you ask me my year-over-year production, if you ask me how much money I've made, I have no clue. I really don't. When I went and I switched over to Harma, and he was like, so tell me about last year's production. I'm like, I have no clue. You probably know better than I do, because it's so not the driving factor in my business. I really am out there to work hard And my main goal, and I think that this has to do where we all come from different places and have different drives. But for me, the drive is that I was the kid growing up right on the outside of the other side of the tracks. And I always dreamt of being on that other side. And, you know, I wasn't religious. I wasn't a part of the Jewish community, but I was right on the outskirts of it, and I envied it and I wanted it really badly. But I was the kid who needed financial aid. I was the kid who couldn't do anything, you know, not anything, but not everything. I wouldn't want to ask my mother for $5. And, you know, for me, my whole drive right now is I don't really care how many deals I have, but whenever I get that phone call from somebody in the community or somewhere in the world saying, I have a family and I need them to be helped, or this person can't afford food this week, can you drop off some cash in an envelope in their mailbox anonymously? That is my biggest drive. I have such a fear of ever saying no to somebody when they need help. And I don't ever want to be that person to get a phone call that somebody needs financial help and I can't help them. And so that's my drive.
I love to hear that. I really love to hear that. And I can't wait for my daughter to call me and tell me she's got her first deal. Because when she's like, I want to be a veterinarian, I'm like, my love, you should do real estate. Wake up whenever you want, do whatever you want, make more money than veterinarians and help people.
Right.
So
Right.
I love to hear that. One thing I want to ask you is you kind of multitask. You do a few things. You do a few things that a lot of agents don't do. Like if you can tell us a little bit about, I remember on one of the panels you were talking about the staging.
Yeah.
Which is a huge thing, and
Yeah.
not everybody can do it, but the ones that can do it obviously have a huge advantage over other agents. But
Yeah.
tell us a little about that.
So I think it's something that I developed really when we had the 2008 situation, 2007 starting. I was also newer in my career at that point, and I don't know about any other agents who might be on here who are newer or, you know, had the same experience when they first started, but somehow I got all the crappy listings. You know, I always got the listings with the orange carpet, you know, but yet they wanted the same price as the person who had, you know, the hardwood floors. And it was like, and plus I had to try and get people to believe in me and trust me that I would get their home sold, but they were also giving me the hardest parameters to work with. So I slowly started to have to just take on the role of, if they're not going to help me, I need to help myself because I need to do deals. So I would go buy stuff in different stores and, you know, tchotchkes and, you know, stick it around the house and so on and so forth. And then when the crash hit, I needed to figure out a way. And this really applies now, even as Corona is happening right now, and the market might be shifting a little bit, you know, even we could talk about that a little bit later, but I had to figure out a way of how to stand out in a way that I'm not the same agent showing up at a listing appointment against 3-4 other people who are saying, oh yeah, so we pay for an LA Times ad and an ad in the Daily News, and we're going to put, you know, flyers at the houses around in the neighborhood before our open houses. It made me vomit, and I could not be that used car salesman. Like I needed to figure something out. So I figured what would be something that I actually brought to the table. Our clients pay a lot of money to have us do the job that we do. Not that we don't deserve it and we work really hard, but we do get paid beautifully. And I wanted to come up with a way of what would give me an edge. So I decided that actually a close friend of mine was my first client in the staging situation. And I said, look, your house isn't selling. This is what I would like to do to the home, and I need $3,000. So with that $3,000, I bought a bunch of furniture, and I went like all over downtown and everywhere to collect my first round of furniture. And that was the beginning. And I kept using that same furniture, and then I kept building as people would pay me at first. Then I stopped the paying thing. And for my own clients, staging is on the house. And to this day, unless it's like a large, massive new construction build where, legitimately the staging costs $20,000, $30,000 sometimes in some of these monstrosities, where I need some financial participation. But other than that, it is something that my clients get from me as a service. And I feel really good about it because I'm really bringing something to them that is literally putting money in their pockets and saving them from having to shell out money.
So you briefly mentioned, this started back in the last crash, and right now it doesn't appear to be a crash yet, but there is a lot of indications that things are going to get tough down the road. First of all, what's your outlook on where we are now and what's going to happen in about 9 months from now? And
where we are now is the strangest situation. I feel like we're in the twilight zone. It is bizarre as all can be. Last August, 2019, I was literally doomsday prepping, and I'm like, holy crap, do I have enough money in my account? Did I spend like a rock star, or did I put money away? Because that's it, it's over. August was so bad. And here we are, this 9 months later or whatever else it is. And I can't keep houses on the market if I wanted to. I can show houses for a day and then it's gone. I feel badly. We can't have multiple days of showings. It's nuts what's going on now. So I'm not sure what this is indicative of, except for my opinion of what's going on right now is I think you're having a major wave of people having a wake-up call on the quality of their life. And, when I get phone calls from buyers who are like, oh, sellers just want to get out, the market's changing. And that's not the case. What's really happening is people making and deciding that they're choosing to have lifestyle changes, whether it's time to downsize, it's time to retire, it's time to move closer to where the children live, or I'm sick and tired of living in a condo and sharing laundry and sharing elevators, and I want a home office and I want a backyard. These are lifestyle change decisions that people are no longer putting on the back burner. And that to me is what's driving this market right now, obviously coupled with incredible interest rates. And I think that anybody who thinks that, the market is hot right now because it's a fire sale is very mistaken. These are sincere sellers who are selling because they still want their top dollar, but they're doing it because they want to, not because they have to. So that's a different vibe than in 2008 when you had sellers who had to sell, get out, lost everything, so on and so forth. I don't think we're there right now.
And where do you see us in a year from now?
If these rates stay the way they are, and you are the king to be able to, guide us on that, but if prime stays at zero, for the next couple of years, what I keep hearing the rumors about, if that's what's really going to happen, money's cheap, and I'm hoping that as this Corona situation gets more under control, people's livelihoods get back on track. People want to live. You can see that by how people want to, cruise ships. Look at the cruise ships. I think that they're almost all pretty much booked up for the next year already, and it's hard to even find a cruise. People are not looking to hunker down in their homes. People are looking to live. And so as long as interest rates stay the way that they are, I think that our market is going to stay hot.
That's a really interesting, I think you've said something that we're all thinking, which is quality of life. People want to upgrade their quality of life, and a lot of things have changed for people to be just woken up by what's going on.
Look, for me, even like just when Corona started and we all work like dogs, the fact that I had, dinner at home for 8 weeks, every single night, making dinner for my entire family to be sitting together, having a dinner every single night was just the most incredible thing ever. In 23 and a half years of being married, we never had 8 weeks of dinner with all the kids at home, at the table at the same time. And so I think that on every level and everybody has a different thing, where on some level, Corona has been a blessing in many ways, whether it's a mindset change, whether it's something positive that's happened, but there has been positive that has come out of this horrible pandemic. I really do believe that.
I agree 100%. We're all a little bit cleaner. We're all a little bit healthier. We're all a little bit more in touch with, if it's being at home and being stuck at home, or cooking at home, or learning to exercise at home, or learning to work from home, or getting creative with all this new technology, not just Zoom,
Right.
not just Zoom. There's so much happening. And speaking of family, I want to give a shout out to Erica over here.
Oh,
Hey
is she
there.
on there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my
sister and
other
part of
half
your
of my
team.
brain right there.
Yes.
So it's funny you guys say that, because I spoke to a family law attorney the other day in a different panel that I was on, and they thought that business for them, for their industry, divorces was going to go up through the roof because everybody's at home together and, at each other's throat. And they were surprised to see almost the exact opposite. Like, people are coming together, and problems that people would look at before now don't seem as big of a deal with everything else and all the other craziness that's going on. It's like, why are we even fighting about like little things that don't matter? So it's good to see that. It's always a silver lining. I want to ask you though,
maybe filings. I want to jump on that. Maybe filings haven't spiked like they anticipated. However, and there's no joke coming. This is statistics that I heard from a New York attorney. Is the amount of retainers that there's so many new retainers. So meaning a lot of people did make calls to divorce attorneys. A lot of people made calls like, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 30 days, but let's get the ball rolling, And then, yes, maybe, things, time changes, circumstances, and maybe people didn't follow through with it. But retainers did spike. I did hear they spiked.
Interesting. So, Michelle, I want to take you back to the beginning, but with all of the knowledge you have now. So knowing everything you know now, would you have started your career differently, or are there any tips that you can give people that want to get started or grow their business that they should absolutely do in the beginning?
She would skip the diaper changing for sure.
Definitely skip the diaper changing. That's such a tough question, because with the knowledge that I have now and where I am now in my career, I know that there's stuff that I need to make changes on now, even still, so I think that as we all continue to grow in our businesses, I think that it's always evolving. And I think that there's always stuff we should be changing and doing. I think if I could go back in time, knowing what I know now, I think I probably would have tried to maybe build an infrastructure of more help around me at an earlier stage and not put everything on my own plate. And, when it came to the staging, for the last, 11 years, I've been doing it all on my own. I'm the schlepper, I'm working with the movers. I've been doing all of that. And sometimes when you put everything on your own plate, you actually end up hurting yourself in the long run, business wise, because there's only so much of you that can go around. And I think that if I could have probably put in some better systems around me and not be afraid to spend the money on that, because I spent money clearly, but I don't know if I spent the money in the right places at the right time. And if I could go back and maybe put better infrastructure around me and relinquish control over some things, then I could probably be way ahead of the game where I am today. And that probably has set me back. And there's plenty of people out there that I haven't been able to help because I didn't have the proper infrastructure, and I'm only one human being. My biggest fail in that arena, and I think I'm saying his name right, I always forget it, even though I own purses by him, but I was the very first realtor who helped Makowski buy a home here in LA. And he bought it actually here in Valley Village. And I look at that frickin' contract all the frickin' time with his signature on it. And I never kept in touch. and I was the first person when he landed here in LA to work with him on real estate. And it happens to be that his main right-hand guy, I ran into him last Friday at the supermarket. And it's like, God is always trying to like just burn me even more with that thing. And so I see this guy and he recognizes me even though I have my mask on. And we start schmoozing for a little bit. And he's starting to tell me about how they finally sold that house with the helicopter pad and the whole craziness. And now he's moved on, and Mikowski is pretty much doing everything in France now and not really doing much here anymore. And like, I didn't want to get into it with him, but all I kept thinking about the whole entire time is like, that was my fault. Who knows where it would have gone if I would have had the infrastructure and the systems in place to make sure I keep in touch with past clients, to make sure that I continue dialogue, stuff like that. And instead, I was so always pounding the pavement and trying to work hard for the next deal to put food on the table for my family that I wasn't taking the time to build the long-term play.
So
But
you know what, I want to
best.
dive in just a little bit deeper on that, because you said something that I hope people caught, that if you're reading between the lines is really the make or break for success, in my opinion, and that's really your database. But you mentioned you wish you would have hired earlier and built a team around you. What should be the first hire somebody makes when they get to that point?
I actually think the very first hire is somebody to be just your back office. That way, getting every ounce of paperwork off your head, your database, your marketing, your social media, like one person can handle that when you're earlier on in your career. And if you can have just one person take off that entire load, and all you have to do then is answer the phone calls from all the people that are calling you because that back office person is keeping in touch with them, I think that will be a great start.
Huge tip.
Yeah.
Huge tip.
Yeah.
Chuck, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you did, because we all beat ourselves up over, hey, I should have done this. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I mean, we do the best we can for what we know for that moment, Right. And, you wouldn't want to be stuck in if you did stay with Bruce, and, right now you'd be stuck having to deal with multiples on a $250 million property. Who wants to do that?
It's true. It would be devastating. It really would be.
Such a headache. Such a headache. Okay.
I would have called you to help me out with it.
Okay. So we always try to stay respectful of everybody's time, because we try to do this, short, sweet, and potent, and really try to knock it out as quickly as possible. So before we go into the weekly wins, if anybody has any questions, throw it out there. Oh, Rosaline, let's hear it. Yes, yes.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. So I'm wondering, how many kids do you have?
I have 4 kids.
Nice. So I have 4 kids too.
Oh, from 10 to 22.
Oh, good. So you have babysitting.
Yes.
So I have little ones, and I got to a stage right now that I am thinking, when is the best time to get someone to help you, and not as far for paperwork, contracts, and marketing, because I have all of that covered in my company, 2 assistants. So I need someone. I feel that I got to a stage that I cannot control everything. I need help as far for maybe showings, or it feels like I got to a stage that I'm asking myself, maybe this is the right time to get help. The question is where to put that, where to ask that help. Is it in showings? Because I'm the one that is doing the negotiation, but I feel like if I will have someone to help me, maybe it's gonna miss the deal, because maybe I will see something that will be good for the benefit of my clients, or the other way.
So my first question for you is,
before I forget, the reason I ask you how many kids do you have is like, how did you manage it? So I have 2 questions there with the kids.
Right. So that was actually my very first question for you is, I'm not sure if right now you need more help on the business side, or do you have somebody full-time helping you at home juggle, helping you make dinner? Who's there? Like if you have little ones, do you have anybody who's a nanny? Do you have help on the home front? Because as a mom, we carry tremendous amount of guilt in every aspect of our
All the
life.
time.
And if we're not there for our kids, or if we're not there for a school trip, or if we're not there for something, it's painful and it hits us very painfully. And the biggest thing that I could have done to help me on that side of things, which then allowed me to be the one to concentrate on my business instead of having to pass the buck, such as showing clients homes in the beginning, was, and I actually call her my assistant, because she's not my housekeeper, and she really is my house manager, and she's been with me now for almost 19 years.
Wow.
And I could not be anywhere without her to this day. I do Shabbat dinners here at my house that are ginormous. I make fresh challah every Friday, 5 pounds. I do all that stuff, and I've never missed my kids' school trips. And I've never missed any of that stuff. I was on the president of the school board, all that kind of stuff. But if I didn't have help on the home front, I don't know if I would have been able to do that without so much guilt, because she is my other half on the home front. I know that my children are getting attention from someone who loves them also. My husband, thank God, has a regular 9-to-5 job. So, I grew up with a single mom who had to juggle it all, and we turned out just fine. I think that parenting today, for some reason, and I think most of us on this screen grew up not spoon-fed and, taken care of with everything, and having our mommies and daddies there for every little thing. We all sat at home while they were at work and being latchkey kids. I really do feel that was much more our generation that grew up that way. But I also think that created a stronger work ethic for us. So I think that we have to stop feeling guilty if, we can't be there for every little thing. And if our kids have to, maybe, I can't tell you to this day how many times, even though I have help at home, dinner is whatever you find in the refrigerator, dude. Crack open some eggs, get a bowl of cereal. And I just don't feel guilty about it, because you know what, at the end of the day, we have a loving home. But, thank God we have 4 amazing children. We've raised them with strong work ethics, and we've also raised them in a way to help themselves. My 10-year-old, since she's probably 7 years old, makes her lunches every morning for school, and prepares her snacks, gets it all together, and I don't feel bad about it. So I think a lot of, what I can help guide you with while you're still with the little ones is get yourself help on the home front, because it seems like you have a nice infrastructure on the work side, but you need a little bit more help maybe on the personal home side. And then that will free you up to be the agent who shows your homes and doesn't miss out on deals right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
big
that
thing,
advice.
the
That's
support.
a good tip.
Thank you.
And I think the biggest thing here is just us not feeling guilty, right? Because
Yes.
it's so easy for us to feel guilty, but you're right. When we grew up, it was the complete opposite of what we
Yeah.
tried to do, and
Yeah,
here we are.
I had literally 5 toys to my name, maybe, and they were probably all from Circus in Las Vegas, and we had nothing, we were so happy. And like, if I showed you and walked with my phone right now to show you the playroom that I have in my house, it's not normal. Like, we all, I feel, try to swing the pendulum and give our children the things that we didn't have. But then I look back at my life and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish my children had the same work ethics, the same drive, that I have and that my husband has. I've been working since I'm 14 years old, and I think that our kids don't all need trophies for everything. And if you're the losing team, you're the losing team, and work hard.
Right.
And God willing, next time you'll be the one to get the trophy. But we've changed the way we treat children today in such a kit glove, God forbid they should skin their knees. And I just never subscribe to that.
That's a
awesome.
big thing. And I'm always thinking about, who's happier? The kid here in Sherman Oaks with Wi-Fi, iPad, Oculus, virtual reality, every game, or the little kid in Kenya who just found this huge stick and he's running around and he's happy and he's got no worries, and you know, probably him, because this kid is this kid here. He's my kid, and he's really pissed that the Wi-Fi is not as strong as it was yesterday.
There's more room for disappointment, that's for sure.
Right. Yeah.
So-
We should do a whole parenting Zoom.
Yeah, Chuck, I just realized that we are surrounded by all females.
I didn't even
Just
notice
the
it
way you
because
like it.
I didn't even notice it because I'm just so used to it.
It's the same for me at home. Even my dogs are females. It's just all females around me. So it's okay.
Women don't forget.
I love that.
That's right.
Yeah.
A big shout out to Sabine and Chantel from Topanga Properties. If anybody
Actually,
knows
let's unmute
anyone
them
who wants to buy or sell in Topanga, definitely reach out to them. They are the women that are going to be running things over there, and they're
Awesome.
rebooting
Yes.
a 45-year-old company that's been there for a very, very long time. So
How are you guys?
We're well, very busy. Yeah, keeping, trying to keep float.
Well, thank
yeah,
God.
they actually are connecting with Mo Abrashad. Our guest was at last week, 2 weeks ago. They're connecting over I think it's over the like $4.5 million property, something fantastic. I personally walked it.
All said you saw that.
Yeah. It's made for a celebrity, just period.
No, it's an amazing place. So, if anybody else on here has a buyer for that kind of house.
And of course, it's off market as of now. So we've got that.
Construction, so no certificate of occupancy even on.
Yeah.
So.
And
So
also
do
big
you-
shout
do you
out
la-
to
Do you
Liron
ladies have
Abraham, who's all the way from Israel with us.
Wow.
Hi, Liron.
Who's that?
Liron.
How are you?
Oh, wow. So cool.
Yeah, it's nighttime here, but I'm listening and I appreciate it. And I think what you guys are doing is great. There's so much uncertainty right now, and what you're doing is very valuable. So I appreciate that.
Nice to have you with us.
Does
Okay, let's
anybody
do the
else
wiki.
have any questions before we go into the wins, or a win? If you have a win, feel
Let's do
free,
a win.
raise your hand, share with us. Personal, business, doesn't matter. We just want some positive news.
Positive news. I have my boys.
Yeah, the boys are back.
I'm not surrounded by girls anymore.
That's awesome.
I gotta say my win, and I'm gonna be promoting Leo here on this win is a service, an app, a company that Leo is involved with for builders and subcontractors and things like that. We're gonna have a discussion right now about how to utilize it for LA Fixers, which is my company. And I'm really excited about it. Literally, as soon as we log off here, we're gonna go into another room and have
Is that why you're rushing everybody off the show?
everybody. Let's do this. I'm so excited about this. Why don't you tell them a little bit about it? So get the word out.
Well, it's still in early development, but it's a technology platform that allows developers and builders to get access to hundreds of local pre-screened subcontractors and suppliers, upload their project, and instantly get bids from people that want to
Wow.
go ahead and work on the project. So,
That's amazing.
yeah, we're excited about it. But the app is developed. It's already available for download, and now we're starting to scale it up. So hopefully, big things soon. Michelle, why don't you share a win? You have a win for the week?
I'm trying to think of what I should talk about as a win for the week. I think that a win for the week is just the feedback that I got from a client this week, just saying how much they appreciate, the hand holding and, being there with them and explaining everything to them. They're working with another agent in the town that they're moving to. And they said that they wish that, they could have me helping them there too, because they just feel very much, on unsafe ground. And I think that for me, it's something that I keep having to remind myself. My sister actually always makes fun of me because she's like, "You're so wordy." And like when she sends an email, it's like a sentence. And when I send an email, it's like a paragraph. And but I feel that that's like who I am. And when someone's going to finish a conversation with me, they're not going to be at a loss for like, wait a minute, I didn't get that, or I didn't understand that. So for me, the win was hearing several times this week from different clients how they just really felt that I was able to explain things well to them and hold their hands.
That's huge. I feel like we always say, you know, I don't do it for recognition, but we all want that tap on the back and to feel good about what we do, because like you said, if you do something good, the money will come.
Right.
This, you know, the success is the byproduct of the good things that we do. But when we get appreciated and when we're told that we're doing the right thing, that's what really motivates.
Sure, and it helps us get to the next one and want to do the next one, you know.
Yeah. By the way, I have one final question. For someone like the girls here at Topanga Properties, or Katie, or Liron, or anyone watching, because there's always people on the Facebook live group with like 2,200 members, and there's people on the YouTube channel. How would somebody, or what would be the best way for someone to align themselves with you and to be able to open that, you know, communication, to be able to work with you, to bring you deals, to get deals from you, to you know, be in your inner circle?
Who's answering that?
You.
Oh, me?
You're the special guest.
I thought you were asking everybody else that question. You know, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question because, you know, I think that we all try our best to stay connected, but at the same time, there's just so much going on that we feel like once we blast it out to the world, then people will just come to us if they need our product, you know. And I know that that's not necessarily the best thing, but that's another element of why you need more people a part of a team. And maybe that's why I'm at a loss for a great answer, because I know that I can't add that to my plate of like, you know, okay, who is the network of people that I should be reaching out to right now when I have this product that's going to be coming out? It's too much for me. And, but if I had that proper infrastructure around me, and that could be something I dump on someone else's plate, holy crap, my business would probably be even better. But I just,
Yeah.
And if somebody has an opportunity to land, you know, a big listing and they know they need some staging, would you be open to them reaching out to you to co-list with you and share in that
for sure.
transaction?
I would love to, and definitely I would do that. And, you know, there are definitely circumstances, especially for newer agents, just because I have a soft spot for them. You know, if there's a way that I can help them and I just tell them, look, this is what it's going to be at cost, just reimburse me for the cost of the movers, whatever, you know, I have inventory, just pay the guys and, you know, I'll drop it off there for you. You know, I've definitely done that for people too. Helping in our community is not only the communities that we live in, but in our real estate community as well. So if it doesn't take away from me being able to do my job, and if there's people that I can help out there, then I'm definitely happy to be a part of it, or just, you know, give you my guys.
So
and you've grown to a point now where you actually have a warehouse, right? With furniture.
I have 4 warehouses.
4 warehouses. Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I'd like to remind both of you guys of a discussion we had on one of the panels that you were on, that I think you were doing so much business with your warehouse that your accountant told you that if this was a business, you'd be losing like $1 million or something.
It's so funny that you remember that.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that, because it's not, you know, when people hear me talk about it, a lot of times people are like, oh my gosh, I need to do the same thing. Let me tell you something. You know, I already am knee deep into it. So that's why it's working for me. But if we want to talk about the loss leader, I lose about $200,000 to $300,000 a year in running that business. So between warehousing, furniture costs, workers' comp, you know, all the different insurances I have to maintain, blah, 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 you know, it's a real loss leader for me. But because of my financials and, you know, the amount of deals I do and whatever, it works out fine, you know, tax wise and whatever, to have such a product. But it's definitely a financial suck.
Yeah. So it basically, it allows you to, it offsets it on the real estate side.
Right. Right.
Interesting. Have you thought of maybe converting that into like a 501c3, like a nonprofit?
No, but maybe I should.
You think about it. You know how many
Well,
pianos would be donated to you? We literally, Stacy was just doing this thing with one of our properties.
Oh my gosh, we really should talk about that. That's an
and
interesting
it's
thing.
a bigger write-off.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
create a charity. Can we do it under the IAC?
Let's do it.
All
Yeah.
right. Anybody else have any final questions before we wrap it up? Just raise your hand or
I
do
would
one of those
just say that
emojis.
if I was a new agent, this is what I would do, okay? If I was a new agent and I was able to reach out to someone like you, I would reach out and say, hey, I saw you on this panel or this Zoom call or whatever. How can I align myself with you? And you know, share with me what inventory you have coming. Let me try and work it. Let me be your soldier out there. And then before you know it, you're in a couple of deals and you're doing your own thing.
Right. I'm definitely happy to have, with one day when we hopefully one day have open houses again, I'm definitely always open to having agents want to sit open houses. There's only so many of us because I don't have a huge team. And so when we ever have new listings and they're brand new open houses, happy to hook people up. Whatever I can do to help, even if you just want to throw something around at me, help you with a contract, help you understand something, definitely reach out.
Well,
I have,
like we
sorry,
said,
one
go
more
ahead.
question. One more question. It's just,
Stop lying.
you're religious, okay?
Yes.
You're heavily involved in the Jewish community. Do you sometimes have restrictions on doing like open houses on Shabbat? And would you be able to benefit from having someone who's not, let's say Jewish, who doesn't really observe Shabbat, to be able to do those open houses?
Yeah, so it's a loaded question, Chuck, totally loaded. But basically, the short answer is if it's in the Jewish community and if it's an Orthodox family's house, then obviously the short answer to that is no, because they're Orthodox themselves and can't do a Saturday open house. If it's a house that's out in a different area and it's not owned by a Jewish person and the realtor who wants to sit it is not Jewish, then I could definitely probably work something out with them. There's a whole bunch of laws and rules about me making money off of them on Shabbat.
Yes.
So, but there's some ways around it. I prefer not to mess with fire, but there are ways around it.
Okay, we can discuss the coffee bean method or whatever you
So
want.
like we said in the beginning, Michelle, you are incredible. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for taking the time to join us and share and really give back.
Thank you.
I want to thank everybody who's joined and who's watching our live stream somewhere. Please follow us and subscribe. We'll be here next week. Same place, same time. We already have our speaker, so we'll announce that in the next day or two. Michelle, again, thank you so much.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to engaging again here in the near future.
Thank
And thank you everybody for joining. We'll see you again next
Thank you,
week.
everyone.
Thank you all. You can leave comments or whatever. It's all in the YouTube or in the Facebook group. Comments, chat, and answer questions that way. Thank you so much. See you next week.
Bye, guys.